It sounds completely unhinged, but the United States government once stockpiled survival gear in roughly 70,000 public fallout shelters across the country. Crackers, water drums, radiation detectors, chemical toilets, all of it sitting in basements and subway tunnels, waiting for a nuclear war that thankfully never came. And here's the strange part. Most of that equipment still exists. Some of it is rotting in forgotten municipal warehouses. Some of it is sitting on eBay right now, still sealed in the original olive drab packaging. And a shocking amount of it costs less than a fast food meal. Today we are opening the declassified civil defense procurement list and going item by item. These are not theoretical prepper fantasies. These are the exact things a superpower government chose to stockpile when its scientists genuinely believed the end was coming. 11 items the United States bet the survival of its citizens on. Every single one is available today for under $10. The reason behind item number 7 is something almost nobody outside the military knows. Before we go further, consider subscribing if you enjoy these forgotten corners of history, because what we are uncovering next has been quietly repeating itself in a way most people have not noticed yet. We begin in 1961. President Kennedy addresses the nation and asks every American family to prepare for nuclear attack. Within months, the Office of Civil Defense launches the largest domestic stockpiling program in history. The specifications were brutally specific. Every shelter needed to sustain 500 people for 14 days. Every item had to survive decades in unheated basements. Every dollar had to stretch across a nation of 180 million people. What they chose tells you everything about how a government prepares for the unthinkable. Number 1. The CD 707 Radiological Survey Meter. This was the yellow metal box every American saw in school drills. It measured gamma radiation in the environment and told shelter managers when it was safe to send people outside. The government ordered hundreds of thousands of them through the early 60s. Today, surplus units appear on eBay constantly, often untested, for around $8 to $9. Collectors call them the most common piece of Cold War hardware on Earth. The ones that still work are genuinely functional instruments. The ones that do not still make a fascinating paperweight from a world that expected to end. Number 2, the CDV 742 dosimeter. Think of this as the pen clipped to a shelter manager's pocket. It looked like a fountain pen, measured personal radiation exposure, and was designed to be read by holding it up to a light. The government issued these by the millions. Today they sell for $6 to $8 in working condition. A pen that tells you how close you are to dying. That was considered basic equipment in 1962. Number 3, the Civil Defense All-Purpose Survival Cracker. Nabisco received the contract, and the engineering behind these crackers is genuinely fascinating. The government needed a food that could sit in a hot basement for years, provide dense calories, and not go rancid. Nabisco developed a Bulgur wheat cracker with almost no oil because oil is what causes food to spoil. They were packed in 17.5-pound tins, enough to keep one person alive for 2 weeks. You can still find unopened tins today, and a single cracker preserved and sealed in a display case often sells for under $10. People report they still taste remarkably like cardboard, which is exactly what the engineers wanted. Flavor was not the point. Survival was. Number 4, the 17.5-gallon water drum. These fiberboard barrels with metal lids were stacked in every shelter. The idea was elegant. Fill the drum with water, and after the crisis, the empty drum becomes an emergency toilet. One container, two life-saving functions. Original drums are now collectible, but the replacement plastic liners sold separately in the 60s still show up at surplus auctions for around $7. Number 5. Calcium hypochlorite water purification tablets. The government specified a concentration of exactly 2 parts per million of available chlorine per quart of water. Too little, and people died of dysentery. Too much, and the water became undrinkable. Modern equivalents sold as pool shock, chemically identical, cost under $10 for a bottle that could purify thousands of gallons. The same chemistry, the same concentration, the same life-saving math, just without the stenciled letters CD on the side. Number 6. The sanitation kit. Officially designated item number 553A, this was essentially a cardboard toilet seat that fit on top of the emptied water drum. The kit included polyethylene liner bags, 12 rolls of toilet paper, and a small container of chemical disinfectant. The entire package for 500 people cost the government about $2 per shelter. Today, surplus toilet chemical packets from the exact same era sell individually for around $4 to $6. Number 7. This is the item most people have never heard about. Medical Kit D. It was a small cardboard box, roughly the size of a lunchbox, designed to provide basic medical care for 50 people for 2 weeks. Inside, the contents were ruthlessly practical. Aspirin, a tin of penicillin tablets, phenobarbital for pain, a tube of petrolatum gauze, eye drops, and kaolin tablets for diarrhea. But here is what makes Kit D genuinely haunting. It also contained a small quantity of purified morphine tartrate. The government knew that in a real nuclear exchange, there would be people with injuries that could not be treated. The morphine was not for healing, it was for ending suffering that had no other end. That quiet moral calculation, made by accountants and planners in Washington, was packed into a box and placed in school basements across America. Today, the empty kits, stripped of their contents, sell on collector sites for around $9. They are one of the most sobering objects you can hold. Number 8. The hand crank AM radio. The CDV 757 was a receiver designed to pick up CONELRAD broadcasts, the civil defense emergency system that preceded the modern emergency alert. Surplus hand crank radios with similar specifications sell for $8 to $10 today. The original units, when you crank them, still pick up stations broadcasting talk radio from a century their designers never imagined. Number 9. Civil defense matches. Specifically manufactured to be waterproof and to ignite in high humidity. A box of 50 cost the government less than a penny per match. Original sealed boxes appear on collector markets for about $7. They still strike. Number 10. The Shelter Manager's Handbook. A small paperback, roughly 200 pages, distributed to every designated shelter leader. It contained instructions on water rationing, conflict resolution, corpse handling, and psychological management of panic. The chapter on dealing with the dead is written in the calm, procedural voice of a government that had thought very carefully about what 14 days underground would actually look like. Original copies sell online for $5 to $9. Number 11. Potassium iodide tablets. These tablets block the thyroid gland from absorbing radioactive iodine after a nuclear event. The government stockpiled them in massive quantities. Today, a 14-day supply from pharmacies that still sell them runs right around $9. It is perhaps the only item on this list that governments around the world continue to stockpile today, and that fact alone should tell you something. So here is what the Cold War actually left behind. not just bunkers and propaganda films, but a meticulously engineered survival system, priced down to the penny, designed for a civilization that came genuinely close to ending itself. Every item we covered was chosen by scientists and engineers who had done the math. They knew what humans needed to survive 14 days in a sealed basement with 500 strangers. And remarkably, almost all of it is still available today, sometimes in its original packaging, sometimes for the price of a sandwich. History rarely gives you the chance to hold an artifact that represents a moment the world almost ended. These objects are that chance. Leave a comment and share one thing you learned today and how you plan to use it in your life. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, consider subscribing so you do not miss future videos.